In this short video, we will be explaining the lack of water in Madagascar. We will explain its causes, consequences, the current water management strategies, and the water management strategies for the future for Madagascar. We will look at why there is a lack of clean water in Madagascar, how it affects the country, what they already do to try and solve the problem, and new ways that they can try to solve the problem. We will start off with the causes of the lack of clean water in Madagascar. One of the major causes of this lack of water is money problems. Nearly half the population of Madagascar lives in severe poverty, meaning that the government doesn't get enough money from the citizens to be able to support proper water management. Many of the people who live in poverty can't afford to pay for clean water, so they go out and search for the nearest well or water source. Most of the time, these are not cleaned, meaning that the water can contain dirt or bacteria. Another main issue that Madagascar has had until a few years ago was that they didn't have a proper government set up and functioning. This meant that there wasn't a proper group of people that could make the right decisions about the water problems that the country had. This meant that the country had to rely on the help of other countries, governments, and organizations. Most of the time, the things that these countries, governments, and organizations can provide is not enough for the country to be able to stabilize. The main issues that the organizations in the country itself face is that things start costing more than that they can provide. An example of this is that one of the electricity and water companies of the nation is in a massive debt of 27 million due to the low amount of money that it makes.
Water shortage has an enormous impact on society. This is also applicable in Madagascar, where water is a serious problem. The different impacts of water shortage can be divided into four main topics, those being health, hunger, education, and poverty. Starting with health, people are forced to drink very low quality water. This can be from streams, lakes, or anywhere else. However, these can be contaminated. Less water means that the sewage flow is also not very good. This is an especially serious problem where the chances of getting malaria are very high. In fact, this percentage is about 5.5% of all deaths are caused by malaria in Madagascar. Next, lack of water also causes sanitation problems. For example, cleaning is also almost non-existent in many places. This results in lower hygiene for the people working or coming to that place. The next point which the lack of water has a large impact on is the food intake of the population. In fact, the most produced item is vanilla. This requires water. Another important item that they grow is bananas, another food. For example, 1 kilogram of bananas needs about 1.5 liters of water. This is a lot if you put this on the wider scale and compare that to an acre of bananas, for example. However, not only crops will struggle from this lack of water, animals will also suffer, as if they do not drink enough, they will either die or struggle a lot. Education may not be an obvious consequence of water shortage. However, it is a very common one. Many children are forced to spend their time collecting water from a water source miles away. This takes away some, if not all, of the time that they may get at school. Sometimes the children get too tired and therefore do not come to school. If this continues for a long time, it becomes almost like a cycle. In addition, water is key to economic prosperity as well as higher living standards. Schools are much more successful if people come to school instead of scavenging for water. Clean restaurants and similar places in Madagascar need to be cleaned for tourists, who in Madagascar make up a large percentage of the income. Agriculture and other produce also require a lot of water, another of Madagascar's main exports. If this water does not exist in abundance, it is very difficult to earn money, especially via trade.
Well, looking at statistics, the situation in Madagascar is not great at all. In a study made by UNESCO, on a scale of the countries with the least available clean drinking water, Madagascar ranked third with 59% of its population without clean drinking water. population of Madagascar is currently around 25.5 million people, which means that 15.9 million citizens of Madagascar have no available clean drinking water. Some local governments and small private businesses in Madagascar have tried to provide aid, but due to lack of money and resources, they weren't able to make a big enough change that would positively affect the tough living conditions. This shocking and horrific situation has caught the attention of some big organizations that work and support underdeveloped countries. WaterAid is one of those non-profit organizations that is currently working on making clean water available to everyone in Madagascar. In their website, everyone could donate from 10 euros up to thousands of euros that will all be used to provide clean water to people in need through new water infrastructures, special water pumps, water purifiers, and more. In addition, they're giving a chance for people to volunteer and fly all the way to Madagascar to help the locals by building and helping the rural areas that are in jeopardy. Another organization is the Water Sanitation of the Urban Poor, also known as WSUP, which has provided 724,000 people with improved water sources, 982,000 people with improved sanitation services, and helped to improve the hygiene practices of about 2,741,000 people. They currently have around 25 big projects operating in Madagascar, as well as water consultancy, which suggests new ways to save water and to get more access to clean water.
In this segment, I will be going over management strategies for the future. So, one of these strategies is to use water basins that allocate different and large open areas of the country where lots of rain falls. According to multiple websites, Madagascar gets around 1,000 to 1,500 millimeters of rain per year. As a comparison, our country, the Netherlands, gets only around 700 milliliters of rain per year. With this large amount of rain that Madagascar gets, one feasible idea would be to put water basins in empty open areas, thus collecting rainwater, which comes very often. And this would allow the people of Madagascar to receive much more clean water than they currently have in rivers and lakes. The water in rivers and lakes are often contaminated, mixing in with the mud at the bottom of the lake. The lakes are often shallow there. And when people would want to collect some of the water from there, they could use some simple water purification systems so the water only gets clean when it is needed. These water-based basins could also be placed in great numbers in locations close to the most densely populated areas of Madagascar. For instance, the capital, Antananarivo. This city has a population of around 1.4 million, and the city has an area of around 88 kilometers squared. Doing a little bit of math, we can figure out that the number of people per square meter in Antananarivo is 15. 15 people in 1 square meter. Of course, these people would live in apartments, but all of them would get thirsty and thus would need to drink. So, if around 260 of these water basins were placed in each square kilometer, each of the square kilometers of people would have 3 basins in their vicinity. This would allow even the poorest of citizens to have easy access to safe drinking water.